YouTube, it's Brad Phillips. Look at this. We've got the 1.1 meter F4U Corsair, and we've got the NX8. We ran an AR630 in here, and believe it or not, this is from Arrows. Check out the links, buy one for yourself. Beautiful plane. We're working through a couple issues on this. This is our third flight of our Maidens, and we're gonna show it in reverse order because we believe the bigger battery is gonna do the trick for CG. So we just wanna let you know that in advance, so stay tuned. You can see our reverse engineering. And also, there will be an unbox build radio setup coming or released right before this video, so you can check it out as soon or as quick as you need to. But basically, we'll show all the adjustments in this video from what we did in the unbox. Okay, throttle cuts off, take off flaps, elevator, everything's ready to rock and roll. Looks like the wind is left to right, so we'll back taxi. Look how nice this thing back taxis. Absolutely gorgeous. A lot of rudder authority on the ground, which is just what you need when you've got a tight runway like we do. Okay, so takeoff flaps are deployed. Okay, get ready on your rudder. So this is on 4S 3200. Full throttle, stock configuration, haven't changed a dang thing. This is a Gen 1, we do have a voltage alarm. Oh man, that feels way more zippy. Okay, but you can still slow it down. Big, heavy battery, and guess what? You need it. You wanna know why? Otherwise, this thing will be a pitchy beast to fly. And I'm gonna tell you this right now. The pitchiness is so much better now. I feel like the CG is either maybe slightly mismarked, or the CG is just really finicky on this one. So if you try to fly on 2200 3S, get ready to be disappointed. You will not like the way the plane flies. It will be pitchy. And I've done a lot of things to try to get this thing flying the way it is. And you can stay tuned. In this video, we will show you every step as we reverse engineer. You'll see the symptom. You'll see the cause. You'll see what we did to fix it. And no, you do not need to adjust the elevator, camera crew. The camera crew does not need to go inside with me to adjust the elevator to the inside hole. But if you insist on flying on a smaller battery, you need to add nose weight. There is no getting around it. You will have to do it because I'm on a 3200 milliamp 4S. And by the way, the thing is flying phenomenal on 4S. I would suggest that Arrows talks to their distribution and sees if there's a way to get into a slightly bigger ESC just for longevity, because a 40 amp ESC typically does not handle 4S for long. But I can tell you this, that thing looks good. I'm about 40% throttle. I feel like on 3S, you're just right on the line of power curve. Okay, takeoff flaps coming in, landing flaps. Look how gorgeous that slows down now. Look at that, Megan.
Yeah,
so much better. Guys, you need a big pack or you need nose weight. Just get with the picture, Brian. You thought you had it in the unbox, you didn't. 2200 3S made it look like it was balanced out okay, almost in a tricycle configuration. By the way, we have safe on this plane. Let's get into a weird configuration, and there's safe. Look at that, leveled out nicely too. Okay, so we found a little issue on our safe configuration too, where there was a weird angle correction. And we were like, that doesn't seem right because the receiver is level. But look at this, we fixed it. We captured our level, and look at that. Hands off the sticks, look how level that is. It was doing a little bit of a tip to the side, and we did fix that. The limited bank angles, I'll show you here next. This is in safe. So it turns nicely. Okay, full up elevator, full down elevator, okay? Full right, full left. Okay, and coming out of safe, there's no AS3X or safe right now. Just to give you an idea, the thing looks pretty stable. Of course, it is pretty calm up there. So I'll give you one pass with no stabilization. Flies good when you got the CG right. Okay, into the stabilizer. This would be AS3X now. We'll go under the power lines and come around for another pass just to give you a different backdrop. Look how beautiful that is up against the dark soil. You can do tight turns, you can keep your speed up, and if you get your speed low, get into the flaps or you will stall this plane, especially when you put in a big battery, okay? But if you don't put in a big battery, guess what? You're not gonna be flying it like this. Because even with the bigger battery, and even with all the adjustments, the extra expo, the extra gains for the elevator, this plane tends to be a little bit more pitchy than some. By the way, I think there's an eagle over that tree line over there. Let's see if
I was watching.
Can you see that eagle? Look, he's out there over that tree line.
He's right behind like
right behind the plane.
Right now.
He's way behind me.
Way out. Yeah.
But I just wanted you guys to see that there's an eagle out there soaring. That's so cool. I always lost track of flying. Did you see me about crash?
Watch the plane, not the bird.
That is always a good rule of thumb. So I gotta say, couple extra clicks of Elevator Expo, and I think this thing would be rock solid. If you insist on flying it in a small pack configuration, like a 2200, I think what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to at least move the elevator control horn, but I'm gonna tell you this, you are not gonna like the way it flies that way. It flies okay, but it's just not, I mean, you gotta stay in the throttle so hard. It's all the different things you don't like about a tail heavy flying plane. And I'm not talking about tail heavy like you can't get it to the ground. It actually wasn't too bad to land. It's just wonky, pitchy, porpoisey. That is not the type of flying experience I enjoy, and I know you guys don't either. So what I can tell you about this plane is it went together really easy. Hope you guys will check out the Unbox Build radio setup if you're curious. But just remember, because we've split this up, you guys get the uploads a little bit quicker. And the reason that helps us is we can upload our radio setup as soon as we're done. And then if it takes a day or so to get a nice calm weather day for a flight, then we can just upload that small amount. We're trying to bring you guys all 4K footage, which is huge. Huge, folks, huge. And I know huge. Take off flaps. Look at how beautiful that is.
Well, the other thing I was going to say about this plane is it's worth the effort of figuring out, you know, the right battery size for the way that you want to fly it, because it's so nice. It's such a pretty plane.
And sometimes when you do planes that are like a million hours of setup, then they just suck at the end anyway.
Yeah.
Guys, this 4S gives this thing the pep that you want. Now, I'm not gonna say on 3S it's got plenty of power to get around. It's not like you're gonna crash.
Mm-mm.
Inside out loop, just to show you, it's got plenty of power for that. That's like a 40% throttle, folks. So I haven't even hardly pushed it. I think we need a high-speed pass. But I do want you guys to be aware that if you fly a plane that's designed for 3S on 4S and you're fortunate enough to not burn out the ESC, which I will show you how mine looks at the end, then just, you know, don't go like balls to the walls crazy. That was really pitchy on that high-speed pass. I'm gonna go to my high expo setting and see if it feels a little bit better. That puts my elevator expo at like 45 and the rate's at 90. That's crazy, guys. We never go that high. But look how solid that looks. Okay, full speed pass here. Okay, put my expo back to normal. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the F4U Corsair, but they definitely will bite you on stalls. The stalls will sneak up because it's got such a low stall speed. It falls like a brick when it does stall. So you gotta get into the flaps if you're doing slow flight performance, okay guys? You said you couldn't see that very good in the bowl today?
It's when you're up above the tree line.
Oh, above the tree line.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna try to go into the bowl again, if you're good.
Yeah.
I must say this one is harder to fly than the competitive offering. I gotta just say it because, you know, as much as I do love this plane, and I love the fact that it comes with flaps and LEDs as well as retracts, that is not a limiting factor at all. That is a good thing. All planes that are in the size class should have LEDs if you ask me. There's really no excuse to not have LEDs in my opinion. They should be installed in all these planes for what we're paying for them, and I love LEDs, but they should be scale. They should be simplistic navigation lights at minimum. And let's get real. Okay, so those are my 9-minute flight time, guys. That flew by, pun intended. Okay, we got a manned aircraft coming from left. Oh, he's way up there. That's not the jet. I'm talking about the manned aircraft. He's way, way up there though. We're good. So guys, if you're new to flying RC, you're at the right place. This is not a good beginner plane. Do not get this one. You'll be disappointed because you'll crash it and you'll destroy it. It won't hold up to a big crash. There are planes that Arrows makes that would be amazing as beginner planes. And I would highly recommend considering Arrows for a beginner plane. We have beginner plane lists that we put out all the time when people are asking questions with links to the videos for those particular planes. And there's, what, about 7 or 8 of them that we kind of routinely recommend. Obviously there's more planes than that, but that's kind of what we routinely do, just to give you guys something easy to start with. We have good videos. We have videos like showing the camera crew flying, showing our son flying, our older son. And basically, when you watch those videos, it's gonna help you build your confidence that you can do it. This is not a beginner plane. This would be an intermediate plane. I would say you could probably do this plane on your 3rd or 4th plane, but I gotta say, if you can take off this plane, get it on its mains, taxi it down the runway, bring it up to speed at a smooth transition, and then take off, you are a better pilot than me, because this thing is kind of like a, oh my goodness, get it in the air kind of plane. With practice, most planes can be tamed. But as you know on this channel, we get them, we put them together, we fly them. We don't have a lot of practice. This is my 3rd flight with this plane, and I feel like we've got it dialed in nicely now. Again, a lot of the stuff we do on this channel does have to do with my preference for flying. So just keep that in mind. And yes, I am probably gonna land because I'm probably gonna run out of battery here pretty quick. Okay. I would say I'm 2 minutes 9, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, so we're at 11 minutes of flight time. That's a pretty dang good flight time. Okay, take off flaps. Our best landing so far has been on 3,200 3S. Over the power lines now. You're just trying to relax into a 3-point landing if we can get it. Whoa, 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 whoa! That was not very good. Camera crew, how do you feel about me doing that over? That was not bad. I mean, it stopped where we needed it. I was able to turn around, no problem, nobody died. What the heck, birds? Jeez. Man, is that like a bird strike on the runway while you're taxiing? That's always bad. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I am like, really, the P factor is way out of control. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can do a low approach this time. Take off flaps. You wanna have a little bit of airspeed or altitude trade on your base leg, meaning this turn. Okay, full landing flaps coming in. Oh, you would. Okay, throttle cuts on. We're gonna flip this over, make sure we didn't break the tail. It's so strange. These planes will flip over really easy, and yet I feel like the landing gear on this are shorter than the competitive offering. They look better because they're short. The antenna, as warned in the unboxed build radio setup, has almost survived 3 flights. And I'm not a terrible pilot. I mean, I'm not the best pilot either. I definitely did flip it over like 4 times. All right, you know how this is gonna go. I'm gonna try to get a good takeoff. There we go. I cannot imagine the amount of torque on a real one when they're doing those. You know, this was an aircraft carrier based airplane, folks. Can you imagine the amount of torque that would be present in a real one on those aircraft carriers, vintage World War II aircraft carriers? This does have a detailed tail hook that does not drop, but it's just a fixed thing. Very beautiful. Okay, so into my base leg and takeoff flaps, landing flaps coming in. Going right over the tree line, or the fence line rather. And there we go. And into a ground loop immediately, because why not? I really wanted to get that so that it wouldn't ground loop on me, but it just really, it likes to ground loop. You know, and that's not uncommon on these models. I would definitely say that if you grease this thing in, stay on the mains as long as you can, which, you know, we've got more juice, so we're gonna try that. Now, grass hops on this plane are probably, in our yard, is probably a no-go.
Yeah.
You could land. In fact, let's land on grass for them.
Okay.
The grass landings are gonna make your landings greasy, okay? But if you have a really well-manicured lawn, like a 2-inch tall or less, you could take off and land from it, no problem. But you can't do it with a bunch of bumps like we've got. Okay, so here we go. We're just with the wind, whatever. We're just throwing caution to the wind, literally. Be cool if I could just land right here, but I'm not gonna. Oh, that looks so sweet. Guys, sometimes just changing your perspective when you're flying radar controlled airplanes, it just makes a huge improvement or difference. And that's what we're doing here. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to my regular spot. Right after I said how great it was to change your perspective, I'm gonna put my perspective right back to where it was. Camera crew, you wanna stay there, you can.
Okay.
Full landing flaps. We're just gonna bring this in and do a grass landing for you. Ooh, yeah, didn't flip over. So as you can see, I carried a little bit more speed. That was purposeful. You may not even want landing flaps on. You may want to land without flaps if you're landing in the grass. Let's see how the landing gear held up. We are now 6 minutes 32 past our 9. So 15 minutes approximately of flight time. Oh, did that thing spin free? Huh, it must have got hit by grass. Looks good now. Mm-hmm. Did you see it swivel? I think it's swiveled. Not a big deal. Okay, we're gonna take off again, and we're gonna try to get one more good landing. And yes, as expected, the antenna just about broke off again. Can't believe that thing's still intact. That was one of my worst takeoffs ever. But I was like, whatever. Let's go. Oh crap, look at that, the gear. The gear was stuck. I know. My gear was stuck too. Maybe that's why it was so hard to take off. Yeah, it looks like it's good now. Camera crew, you wanna get in a spot so I know where you are?
Okay. Right,
and then back to the normal start up. Okay, take off flaps. I heard that stupid bird and I thought it was my plane. Oh, you would. I always try to induce a tail wiggle to slow it down and then it always kicks off to the side. Okay, so out of the flaps, let's take a look at those gear close. Because why did that gear get stuck? And we're at 8 minutes and 13 over our 9. That's crazy. This thing swiveled. I told you it swiveled. So that's what happened. I got up in the air and then that thing didn't center. It centered fine because we were upside down. But once you start putting some thrust to it, then this wanted to move, okay? So all I have to do is I basically have to just slip that back down in there. You see there's a key. So why did that slide? Did that mean the whole thing came up? What happened to the other side? What the heck? Oh, I wonder if I just need to tighten those 2 screws. There's 2 screws. Let's go check on that and then we'll wrap things up. Okay, so we're just gonna fix this one little detail, which is what prevented that landing gear from going up, almost certainly. Okay, I'm gonna lay this on the couch here. We got kind of a spot between, it's a recliner that holds them. And I'm just gonna come in, there's a Phillips screwdriver. Probably need to take the drop tank off. We never did fly without the drop tanks.
Yeah.
So this has a key that prevents it from swiveling, but I just gotta now try to tighten it. Okay, feels like it's probably gonna give us a better purchase. Yep. Oh, no, maybe not enough. I'm just gonna torque it down even more then. See how that plastic is getting discolored? See how I just cracked it? How am I gonna prevent that from slipping? I have an idea that will work for sure. It's just, all this does is just holds that little decorative detail. But boy, you don't want one sticking out. It makes that thing fly like crap. I don't know if you could tell my last takeoff, I took off and it like yawed like crazy. It's because the landing gear was down. So it was acting like an air brake. And when there's symmetry, it's not a big deal, but when there's asymmetry, it's a very big deal. 2 ideas. I could do CA or I could do tape. I like tape better.
Okay.
So what's tape gonna look like? It's gonna look like me filling this gap with tape so it can't lift like that, okay? Because once it lifts, it's allowed to swivel. But once it's down, we're golden. Okay, so look what I'm gonna do to fix this. This is gonna be a super easy fix, okay?
There's a bug in here.
Yep. Okay, so I'm gonna do this and just cut it down lengthwise. And then again, it doesn't even really need to be pretty. All I'm gonna do is just kind of put this in here.
So you're literally just filling in that.
I'm just, yeah, and it doesn't even,
can't move.
yeah, it just stops it from popping out. Okay, and I'm just gonna pull real hard until it gets tight. And again, it's not like it even really has to be pretty. It'd be better if it's pretty, but I mean, pretty is really not necessary. This is all about function over form here. Okay, and I think just, you know, a couple wraps is probably, see how hard it is to lift that now?
Yeah.
That's all it took. That's gonna take care of it, folks.
So if you were gonna do that with CA, you would be doing the same thing. Like you're just trying to make that thing not.
Yeah, you just put a little bit of CA on here and just use kicker and it would set. I'm just stopping that from lifting up.
Right.
Yeah. You're not trying to like glue it together. It's not like it's a structural member. It's gonna cause structural damage if you crash. But you have to sometimes do little minor details. Okay, so in closing, amazing. Let's look at the ESC, make sure we didn't catch anything on fire. I doubt we did because this plane seemed to have handled the 4S no problem. All right, throttle cut is on, everything is double checked. You'll note that we are not quite totally closed, and that's because we're pressing down on the battery. I intentionally did not trim that. At first, I was about ready to trim it. I'm like, let's not trim it in case that might be helpful, okay? So first things first, we'll pull the battery out. It's a little bit warmer in here than it was for the first flights, obviously. We flew for 9 minutes plus 9 minutes, like 18 minutes roughly. Is that about right? Or was it like 17 minutes? My 3200s do have a little bit of puffage to them. That was from previous flights on twin engine EDFs. Just so you know. Okay. Let's show the people inside here. Smell test is good. It's kind of hard to get to the ESC in here. It is warm, it is definitely warm. I am touching the end of the ESC with my fingertip and that's toasty. I would not want to hang out with my finger on it for long. And you can see the ESC right here. So, I mean, you can't really see it, but you can see where it would be. If you turn your light on, you might be able to see it. So I would say that it's probably, to avoid overheating, our light didn't turn on. So can I grab a light from in here?
No, it did turn on. It just said don't use it for more than 10 minutes.
It did turn
It
on?
always says that, yeah.
So I don't need this?
No.
Well, now I want to see it.
Okay.
So there's your ESC right there, guys. It's behind that. So if you were going to consistently fly this on 4S, a couple things you could do. This beautiful simulated motor, you could cut off part of it to get a little more airflow. Secondarily, you could actually, you know, replace the ESC if you wanted to definitely do 4S all the time. And then thirdly, if you want to do a bigger, heavier pack that's going to resolve your conflict of CG, I still think 4000 or 3200 3S would do the trick. It's got plenty of power, it flies okay. If you do a 2200 3S, you're going to be disappointed. This tray is probably not necessary in this plane unless you use counterweight, okay? The other thing is, I just feel like this plane took a lot of adjustment, okay? So I want to show this plane in all its true colors as best we can. So you're going to be seeing the last flight first, the second flight on the 3200 3S second. And then the last flight you're gonna see is gonna be on the 2200. Oh, and we need to make one more adjustment. I still feel like we need just one more, little bit more expo. So if you guys are watching this, we'll show you all the different quick changes we made, and then you can see the context by following the rest of the video. So click, go down to dual rates and expo. Going to elevator, I want this to be more like 30, okay? That's my top setting. 30, and then 15, okay? We increased the ailerons from 10, it was 5, 10, 15, to 10, 20, 40, with dropping the rates down to 90. And then for rudder, we left them the same. It was fine. So we didn't have any issues there. And then we also adjusted our flap system. I still felt like we were getting,
You did mention almost turning it like totally to 0.
Balloons be darned. Yep, we had that quite a bit higher. We do have a 3-second deployment speed too. Is there cat hair on here? What the heck? How do cat hairs get on everything when you have cats? I don't understand
We have 4 of them.
And then the timer, we have increased that now to 9 minutes, but I think that we would be totally safe to go up to probably 15 minutes. And 15 minutes on a 19-minute push, I felt like 19 minutes, we didn't even hit low voltage alarm. So 15 is totally safe, given the fact that I am going to now mark, and this is something we do on our planes because it gets really hard to keep track of what size battery to use. I will forget. So this is gonna be 3,200 milliamp hour, 4S or 3S, and just all the way in. And that's as simple as it is. Oh, no tray, without tray, without tray. Okay? That's as simple as it gets, guys. This plane is very good. It flies great. Paired up with the AR630, you're gonna be very satisfied with it. I would definitely highly recommend that you consider flying it on 4S some. If the ESC burns out on you, then you can upgrade to the Avian. You can do thrust reverse too for those longer rollouts. I felt like the plane took a little bit more effort than I was expecting to get it flying good. Now, keep in mind, these Aeros products have been out for a long time. So this is not like a new release or anything, but this happens to be a V2 still. So it's not like there was a V1 yesterday and now there's a V2 today. It's just the nature of the beast. They've had a V2 out for some time. Otherwise, gorgeous plane. Love the fact that it has LEDs. Love the fact that it has flaps. They gave a good college try on that. I feel like if you cut these things with an X-Acto knife, it would not be that hard to make those things articulate. Oh man. You know what? She's shaking her head no. She's shaking her head no. What? Like, are you afraid I'm gonna like do it right now? She's afraid I'm gonna do it now? Why would you be afraid I'm gonna do it now?
I'm out of video time.
You're out of video time?
Yes.
How much time do you have?
Not enough.
Not enough for what?
Anything.
I just want to show them how easy it would be because like literally it's going to take me a minute to do this. Okay, so if you decide you want to try to do the flaps yourself, what you'll be doing is you'll be cutting here and here, and then you'll cut a shallow cut here, and then you'll fold this and make another pinch hinge. These things will not actuate evenly, so it's complicated to do. But if you really want to do it, then I would probably take a piece of tape and reinforce on the bottom. And then there would be a piece of plastic that may need to go over the top of here and the top of here that can actually splay out a little bit. So you have to take and fold. You have to make the angles. So there's a little bit of bunched up plastic here. And then as this actuates, it'll actually pull down. And then those things will go down. But that is a whole nother thing, and we're not gonna do it right now because we don't wanna misrepresent the plane and have you guys get the wrong idea. So the plane does okay with the flaps. that it has. It's surprisingly good, actually, but I just feel like the 3 panels look a lot cooler if you can get those 3 to go down. And that would be like the only complaint I have with this plane. So anyway, if you guys want to help support our channel, the best way you can do it is buy the planes from the links below. We have Patreon and PayPal as well, listed in the top of the video description. And then Brian Phillips RC, you can check that out and you'll be able to see all sorts of information and links. And basically it's organized in a way so that you can go through and make easy comparisons between planes. And then if you leave your questions, I will try my best to get to them. But yeah, this is a good plane. I would definitely highly recommend getting into this thing. But if you're gonna get into it, don't do it on 2200 3S. Don't do it on 3S at all, actually. I would say just fly it on 4S, leave it to cool between flights if you're gonna fly them as long as we did. But 3200 4S is the way to go. This thing will cruise on that speed and you're gonna get your CG a lot better. So that being said, hopefully it makes sense because we've done this in a weird order. This is the first video. The second video is gonna be 3200 3S, just so you can see how it flies. And then the last video will be 2200 3S, so you can see how it doesn't fly so good on 2200 because it's just a little bit too tail heavy. And then you can see all the different changes we made on the flap setup and all that throughout the course of the video. So hopefully that helps. This, of course, are just the Maiden Flights, and then we have the unbox, build, and radio setup that will be available right away when you're watching this video. All you have to do is just go to the playlist for the F4U Corsair 1.1 by Arrows, and they will be in a list there for you. So stay tuned. So much more to come from Brian Phillips RC. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to click the bell for notifications if you haven't already, because that's the best way to know when new content gets released. YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. Look at this. Arrows 1.1 F4U-4 Corsair. Yes, it comes with flaps, LEDs, retracts, all the good stuff. Look at those beautiful retracts. We are flying this thing today on a bigger battery, 3S 3200 Gen 2. We'll show you some footage. The footage will help explain the changes that we made from our unbox build radio setup, which is gonna actually be on a separate video this time. So we got the flaps deployed. Noteworthy differences between this and its big brother is that the flaps are only 1 panel of the 3. With some effort, you could make them 3 panels, but I can tell you this right now, those flaps are very effective. Okay, so wanted to get the CG a little bit more nose heavy. Oh yeah, I can already tell it's better. 3200 3S, guys, don't even waste your time on 2200. It flies too nose heavy, or excuse me, too tail heavy. I got a little bit of wiggle, so I'm gonna turn down my gains just a hair. And we had set up our expo and everything a lot higher to accommodate that tail heavy configuration. We were barely tail heavy, by the way. Okay, full landing flaps. Look at this thing slow down nicely now. A lot less pitchy, camera crew, don't you think?
Yeah.
So if you guys want to watch how we arrived, where we arrived, what I would do is just stay tuned on this particular video. 3200 3S seems to be a little bit more juicy on the climb outs too, which is nice. Love the way the ordnance looks on this one, which is kind of funny because it's bigger brother. I wasn't a big fan of the ordnance, and I love the way this thing looks. On a bright sunny day, this color is great for visibility. Take off flaps now, we'll go on the inside. Amazing, guys, look how beautiful that is. And then climb out, and already down the runway. So really liking the way this thing is flying. I'll show you safe right now. There's safe, limited bank angle right, limited bank angle up, limited bank angle down by stock, and then limited bank angle right. There was a small roll correction that we took out when we leveled it. And I'm just gonna show you flying right at us, hands off the stick. It is got a little bit of bank to it. So I don't know, that receiver must be mounted slightly, a little bit at an angle. We didn't realize that. Okay, so AS3X only now. Take off flaps, we'll slow it down for a pass here. Man, that thing shows amazing. I almost feel like we could use a little bit more weight up front, to be honest. Okay, out of the flaps, because I'm still feeling a little pitchy, but it's a lot better than on 2200 3S. I would not fly this plane on 2200 3S. And if you're a beginner and you've only got a 2200 3S, I'm really sorry to break it to you. If you fly it on 2200 3S, you're gonna have to add nose weight because you do not wanna fly this thing tail heavy. It's already a little bit of a handful being that it's an F4U Corsair. Let me show you why it's a bit of a handful. I don't often do this. This is something that people gripe about on the channel because we show so much stuff. And for whatever reason, don't show this. I'm gonna go where the cloud is so you got something for a backdrop. Okay, so I'm gonna turn around. Okay, throttle is off. Okay, and I'm just gonna show you. I'm gonna go a little up. Now watch the stall. With the AS3X, look how nice that is, okay? The problem is, you never seem to stall when you're going straight, okay? So that was like a power off stall. Okay, so power on stall, so I got about 10% power. Watch this. See how it tips to the side? Look at that, it gets out of control. You gotta get it flying. I'm gonna do that again. Okay, so you can see both. I'm gonna pull up, this is a power on stall. Let's go into the wind at least. Okay, so here's the wind. So I'm gonna go up, a little bit of power, and I'm gonna stall it. Watch this, look what it does. It gets out of control. You got to get it flying again, okay? That means you got to add throttle, you got to get it flying, and once it's flying, you're good to go. But otherwise, your wing washes out all the control surfaces on the elevator. And so what you end up with is basically a falling hunk of F4U Corsair. And you don't like that. And that's part of the reason why these things bite you. And that's true of any plane, actually. And that's part of the reason why when you get into this hobby and you're like, I don't understand why I keep crashing planes. You know, it's like I've got safe, it should auto level. Well, it only auto level if you're flying fast enough to keep the wing working. So flying fixed wing is one of the most immersive RC experiences because you actually have to fly. I did a little bit of trim correction on my elevator because I felt like I'm riding the elevator. And I don't like riding the elevator with that heavier pack. Man, that's nice. So I think there's a couple of different things that a guy could do on this plane to really improve its flight characteristics. And I think before we try to blow up the ESC by flying on 4S, which we will next, we are going to probably, because I haven't hardly given any elevator input this whole time, you know? I feel like I can do a full loop. Watch how janky this is, guys. Watch this. Okay, 50% throttle level flight. Like, that's crazy. You don't really need that much elevator. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut my expo way down and I'm gonna actually move the linkage on the servo to the inner hole, which is gonna reduce my output quite a bit, but it's gonna allow everything to work better. Because if you can do that mechanical adjustment, then you get a lot more precision. And from watching me fly it, you guys may not be able to tell what I'm doing, but I'm riding the stick and then I'm out of the stick and then I'm riding the stick. I've run into porpoisey planes before. And the thing is, I don't remember my old V1 1.2 meter being porpoisey, but it's been so long that I could be just forgetting it. And I do remember the new one being a little bit on that side, but not this bad. So it could be that we just need a heavier battery too. I mean, this plane looks and flies well. If I can work out that porpoising, it's gonna be a very good flying plane, and it's beautiful. It's actually got LEDs too, which is something you don't get on the competitive offering. But let's be honest, guys. The difference between 1.1 and 1.2, you know, it's 10% bigger. 3S definitely makes it a lot more or less intense. You see what I'm talking about there? I want to see if I'm ballooning now. Okay, so just flat and level, kind of with the wind, but it will still serve the purposes. Okay, take off flaps, landing flaps. Gosh, I just wonder if we need to get rid of the elevator correction altogether. Upside down flight performance is fine. Plenty of elevator authority. That's probably not gonna be quite as good after I do what I wanna do, but it's gonna be more precision. Precision is what I'm after, folks. When you fly a plane super fast, everything seems to feel pretty good, but when you fly a plane slow, that's when you can really tell if it's porpoisey. Oh, so cool, look at that. This guy's gonna wanna watch this plane, I guarantee it. So if you guys see those trucks going down the road, they're actually tearing out a bridge near our house, which is super fun. There's not a huge detour or anything. How are we doing on time? 35 seconds left on the timer, and I guarantee we got plenty of juice. This thing is totally juicy. Let's try a landing and see how it does. It's got a heavier pack, so, you know, that's not always a good thing. Okay, full landing flaps coming in. We're gonna have to ride the throttle just a little longer, get down over the power lines. You can see the shadow is a little telltale sign. Ooh, yeah, that was better.
Wow.
Best landing so far, folks.
That was surprising.
That was surprisingly good.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about this for a minute. 9 minutes of flight time is a pretty good amount of flight time. I'm not gonna push it anymore. I guarantee I could probably get another 5 minutes out of this. But I wanna talk about a few things. One, the plane is absolutely gorgeous. Mm-hmm. It is super detailed. It has all the features I want. And really, the only thing I don't like about this whole plane is the fact that I only have one flap. And, you know, if I was motivated, I could take an X-Acto knife and I could cut these two panels and I could make that articulation point carry the other two panels down. It would be totally unnecessary, just so you guys know, but it would look cooler, okay? That's my only complaint on this model as compared to other competitive offerings. I definitely love the LEDs are installed. I feel like LEDs are kind of a must-have. I don't know why manufacturers don't put them on. They can't cost that much more to add. But let's be honest, guys, everything costs money, so who knows? All I'm gonna say is I love the way the plane looks. I love the way the plane went together because it was quite easy to build, but I'm a little bit disappointed in the pitchiness. So we're gonna fix that right now. And then what you guys are gonna see is the best of the three flights first. So you're gonna see this in reverse chronological order. So my apologies to you. You wanna help support our channel, the camera crew, check out Brian Phillips RC. Megan's been working like crazy on that. Megan, the camera crew, my beautiful wife, has been working on that. And it would really help us out if you would go check it out and see what's going on there and just see if it helps you navigate through the newest stuff. Also, if you want to buy this plane or other planes we reviewed in the past or planes that we haven't reviewed in the past, but we already have links to in the links below in the video description, you can buy them down there or at Brian Phillips RC. There's links, same thing. It's just that we run out of link description area. So that being said, this is going to be our second flight chronologically. You may be seeing it in the second position because it's still the second flight, but we're going to do a little bit better. And I think we're going to kick this up a notch on 4S. Not sure if we're going to do 2700 4S or if we're just going to go up to 3200 4S. It's a little bit more popular size, but I do want to fix the elevator pitchiness and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So stay tuned on this part and then you'll see the Maiden in order. All right, guys, so we had the canopy pushing into the battery, okay? Because the battery we used, we just tucked the lead in there. We did take this thing out. That worked good for a 2200 3S, but we found that, at least as it pertains to the 2200 3S we flew on what will be the third flight you see, when we make a lot of adjustments to try to correct for the pitchiness, we ended up going with this battery, which fit really nice in there because we could go vertical with it. 3200 3S. Okay, so we're gonna unplug that. The battery tray doesn't quite fit as good when you go, try not to drop your batteries, guys. That was an accident, obviously. I was fortunate that it hit the leads like this, which is about the best thing you can hit. Whenever you hit these things on the ground, they break the film. It's really frustrating. Okay, so look at the thickness difference. That is why the tray doesn't work for this 3200. You see the difference? It's a pretty good amount of difference. Okay, now if you get a fatter pack, you might be able to get that in on the tray. but I just felt like it worked good for vertical. And if it fits vertical, it actually holds better. So we actually had 3200 4S's charged for another plane we were gonna be doing. And let's plug this in and see what it says. Whoops. Why are you being weird, XPC? Okay, so it woke up 100%. Yeah, this is good. So let's look at the dimensions of this. This happens to be a Gen 1, perfect for height. That means the width, we're not really limited. So this is quite a bit heavier than a 2200 3S. Look at that. But I'm telling you right now, this plane needs to be more nose heavy, period. Now, my fear in doing this is that we're gonna make it more nose heavy, and then it's gonna be a pitch issue. We're not gonna have enough elevator. So maybe what we need to do is we need to stick this in, fly it, and then make the decision for elevator adjustment.
Maybe so.
Okay, so if we make the adjustment, because I said I was gonna talk about it, let's show the people real quick what we're gonna be doing.
Okay.
If we do it. So there's two ways to adjust the amount of deflection on the elevator. First of all, you've got the easy way, which is go to the outside hole, means you're gonna have the least amount of throw. The middle hole would be a little bit more, and the inside hole would be a lot more, okay? Our problem is too much throw, and there's two of them on this plane, right? So then that linkage is attached here. So what you would do is you would actually undo this, take it off, and you would put it to the inside hole instead of the outside hole, which reduces your control authority significantly, okay? I just feel like it's probably gonna be necessary even if we get the CG better, but I could be wrong. And by the way, that last plane, or the last flight we did was on a Gen 2 pack, and so that prevented us from using the voltage alarm. I always like to have a voltage alarm in there. So we can plop that on and just watch how nice this fits. Okay, just remember we're going for height here. And this thing is gonna push down right here-ish on the battery. So I'm gonna try to do it like this so the balance lead comes out the top. Watch this. Look at that perfect fit. Isn't that gorgeous? Now, being that this battery is a little thicker, you could probably also go the other way, but then you're not gonna hold with the top of the canopy when you slide it in. So this will be allowed to be free, and that's what we're trying to avoid, okay? Because then I don't, well, maybe it will hit still. Let's try, because the 4S is so much bigger. The funny thing is, usually you don't wanna weigh down your plane, but the thing is, we had better landings, we had better elevator authority, we had better everything on 3200 3S. So we'll see. I mean, we just test them and give you guys the results. It's not like we have some agenda on what size battery. I don't care what size battery, as long as we got the batteries. And we have enough steps that we can tell you what, you know, you're gonna get between this and that. And if we overshoot at 3200, then I can go to a 2700 4S, which is my plan. Okay, let's see if this still touches. You can see the little detent where I pushed into the battery. Let's see. Yep, it's still hitting. Okay, so throttle cut is on and tested. But you see what's happening here? It's pushing down on the battery, which is what we want. That's exactly what we want, because it's gonna hold the battery. Now, just to demonstrate, look. I mean, I'm trying not to break the plane, but I'm throwing the weight.
Yeah.
If it doesn't shift, then you're golden. Okay, so one other thing too that you guys might be looking forward to is this. In Ford programming for safe, there was that minor correction, you remember? Okay, it has to load. Okay, so gyro settings, AS3X settings. I want to change the gains a little bit on the roll axis. Gains. So roll is just a little bit too high. So I'm going to bring that to 50, and then look, I can still up and down this. The pitch, it's going to be left because we just increased the CG a little bit more nose heavy, and we are in 2 times gain still, if you didn't already remember that. Then I'm going to go to safe settings. Fixed. Where is that? I forget what that part is. Oh, I got to go down to safe mode. Okay, so it's not there. Is it under angle limits? It's where you capture the level. Nope. Those are your limits.
Capture
gyro gains? That's not it. I don't think so. That's definitely not what I'm looking for.
AS3X mode. Off. Safe mode.
Okay, then there's one more place we gotta look. F mode setup? Is it under F mode setup? That's all correct, but I don't know where they hid this thing. It's so weird because when you go through the system setup, I feel like sometimes, maybe it's orientation? No, that's speaking to the actual. No, we don't want any attitude trim. Ah, there we go. Okay, so this is what I was looking for. It's in system setup. You see how roll is 0? Watch this. Level model and capture trim. Look what I'm doing. Okay, now I'm gonna click. Okay, show the people. So now these numbers are gonna be 4 and 10, okay? We were unsure of that because why is it 4? Why is it 4 degrees of roll? Well, in the flights, 2 and 3 for you guys in the video, you'll note that when I put safe on, it's tipped a little bit. So hopefully that makes it level. So we'll know if that fixed it. I don't know if maybe just the shape of the wing box where we put the receiver, maybe it's instead of being square, it's just a little bit canted like this. We'll find out. Okay, so anyway, if you guys are here for the first time on Brian Phillips RC, this is the way we do stuff. We do detailed analysis and setup. We show all the steps if we can. But sometimes we want to show the best the plane can give on the first flight. So what's going to happen is we'll be doing this on 4S. Obviously it starts up and let's just see if the throttle even goes real quick here. I'm going to secure the plane a little bit. Okay, so it spins. It hasn't blown up the ESC yet. We don't always show 100% of battery to dead, but what we like to do is we like to show all the steps that got us from out of the box to flying good. Now, we're going to be showing the Maidens in this series. And if you want to just check out the channel, there should be an unbox build radio setup as well. And that'll be the initial setup. So if you're curious about the order of everything, just watch the entire video and it all makes sense. So stay tuned. If you want to help support us, buy this from the links in the video description below or go to brianphillipsrc.com. Check it out. The camera crew's been working her tail off trying to get that set up. And then also, if you don't want this plane or you don't want that plane or whatever plane you're looking at, then we have Patreon and PayPal, which are 2 ways you can help support us. Patreon is like a monthly support thing. And then PayPal, of course, would be just like one-time gifts. So we appreciate those things and it always brightens our day. And we're always surprised that people are willing to do it. But since we do it, I guess we'll go ahead and announce that it's available and we appreciate it. We waited for like 7 years to start doing that. And we probably shouldn't have waited so long because so many of you guys have been great and wanting to support us in just small ways here and there. If we helped you out through a tough spot in your RC career. And if you're new to the RC career and you're just really trying to get in and you can't get traction because you don't understand what all this terminology is, you're at the right place. So come back to Brian Phillips RC, watch lots of videos. You can even go back in time and watch when I was learning for myself from the beginning all the way through till now, but it'll take you probably 6.5 years to do that. So anyway, stay tuned. So much more here on Brian Phillips RC and more to come on this video. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, click the bell for notifications. If you haven't already subscribed, obviously do that. And stay tuned. There's just so much more coming from Brian Phillips RC. YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. Look at this. We've got the Arrows 1.1 meter F4U-4 Corsair. This thing is super detailed. It has forward-facing white lights, nav lights, removable drop tanks. Looks strikingly similar to other models. We're gonna be flying it today on 3S, 2200 milliamp hour, Gen 1. So we have the balance lead and we can put a little voltage alarm on there. and we set this up with an AR 630. And of course, we're using our NX8. We have AS3X on, off, and safe. So pretty cool. We're gonna see how this thing does. We have our master gain on the knob. You guys can stay tuned. You'll see the radio setup. Unbox, build, and radio setup is gonna be a separate video. We're gonna try that for a little bit, see how things go. And then you guys can watch your Maiden Flights as a separate bit of footage. And we'll see how this goes. Okay, so takeoff flaps are deployed. Here we go, when I get into takeoff. Whoa, buddy. That thing's got some crazy yaw going on. A little bit of power. Okay, got to get tons of rudder adjustment. That's flying without rudder. Without rudder trim right now. Way better now. Okay, so I still have the gear to bring in. I'll bring it closer for that. I think I need to turn up my gains a little bit. Okay, there goes the gear. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, so everything is starting to kind of get connected here with our trim. A little bit too much on the elevator. Okay, we're gonna go to our high setting for Expo. Ooh, it's starting to feel way better. A little bit pitchy. I wonder if we're just a bit tail heavy still. I mean, it definitely can fly. Look at that thing. Looks gorgeous. But you know, it's funny because the other prominent aircraft we reviewed, you guys haven't seen the video yet, had a similar pitchy moment to it. Inside pass. Man, that does look awesome.
It does.
Plenty of ups for 3S. It does definitely lose its ups on that 3S platform. There's full speed. It's got ups to get you out of trouble, but it's not like an unlimited vertical. I like the scale appearance of it in flight. Good roll rate. That's 50% stick. Checking for manned aircraft. Yeah, we're good. He's way up there. Probably 2,500 feet.
Way up.
You can hear him though. Okay, right over the tree line. Okay, so I think what we need to do is we need to get our gains way up on this plane for the AS3X because I don't feel like it's enough. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch into safe. Okay, here's safe. Okay, so we have hands off, a little bit more power there. It's doing a pretty good job. It is kind of rolling a little bit to the left. You remember that correction factor that was in the AS3X and safe menu on forward programming? I wonder if that's part of it. Oh, there could be some thermal activity over there too, because I didn't hardly touch the elevator and look at it going up and down. Wonder if that's what we're fighting. The safe works really nice on this plane, guys. I gotta say, I'm not a huge fan of safe in terms of, you know, just everyday flying. I don't use safe anymore. But I know that a lot of you guys, especially the newer pilots, okay, so all the AS3X and stabilization is off. I wanna see how it feels. Okay, upside down flight performance is very good. I feel like the 4S on this model would be really helpful. It would give you a little bit more bang for your buck. And I believe others have said that it works. We're gonna review it as though it's just 3S for now. Okay, back into AS3X. Love the lights, they look sweet. Definitely need more expo on the elevator. Let's see if we can take a landing here. Okay, takeoff flaps going down. Landing gear coming out. Okay, full landing flaps just to see how it relaxes. We need a little bit less down elevator correction. Oh, that sucker's gonna land fast, isn't it? Okay, out of the flaps, out of the gear. Definitely had wind at our nose too, and it's pretty much down the runway. Show them the windsock real quick there. Okay, so we got a little bit of a kick to the plane's left. Whoa. There we go. Goodness gracious. Why you can, it kept rolling forever. Okay, flaps are up. We got some adjustments to make. All right, first things first. Throttle cut is on and tested. We didn't damage the tail. That's always good because when you flip these F4U Corsairs, there's not that much material there. So what I want to do is I want to go back in the shade. Let's first of all, the ordnance looks pretty sweet on here. Looks like we got our 5 minutes taken care of. So that timer just went off. And it looks like we're at 11.5, 3.82, 3.83, and 3.89 on our voltages for the pack. So we have a little bit more juice. We could fly for a little bit longer. So what I'm gonna do is, hold still. Okay, so we're good. If it rolls, not a big deal. So we're gonna, first of all, we're gonna go into the flap system. We're gonna bring this back to about 8. Bring that to about 5. We're gonna actually increase the deployment speed to 3 seconds. And then I wanna go into forward programming. And I wanna turn up my gains because look where we are. I feel like I needed more still. So gyro settings, stay there, kid, stay there. That thing has some good bearings on the wheels. Okay, so AS3X. We could go to 2 times, but I'm gonna go and do captured gains. Okay, so there you go. So then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, see how it says 36, 45? As I turn the knob, it goes up, okay? So what I wanna do is I want to fixed, adjustable, and change these to fixed, fixed, and fixed. And then I want to go into capture gyro gains, and then you can scroll in here. Oh gosh, where do I do that? AS3X gains. There we go. Okay, so obviously they're not changing now. So I want more pitch, stabilization. I want more roll stabilization. I don't know if the yaw was a huge issue, so I'm going to leave that at 60. In fact, I'm going to go a little bit more even on pitch and a little bit more on roll. That's a lot. Now, what I can do is I can go back to fixed adjustable. I don't think you actually had to do that. I just clicked on the wrong menu. Okay, so now let's go back to this menu and check our gains. So you can see as I turn my knob, this should adjust, okay? Capture gyro gains. Okay, so it's awake. You see how this turns down to 0? It turns up, and then it goes up to max, okay? So really what I want to do is I want to change my fixed rate to whatever the max will be, okay? So I'm gonna go, oh wait, can I just do capture gyro gains? See how it's up? Let's see what happens. Okay, now I'm gonna go back to my, see I've got my knob in the middle. So I'm gonna go back to capture gyro gains. See now, the middle, oh no, that fixed them. That's what it did.
Fixing them, so.
Okay, so I wanna go back to fixed adjustable. Yep, let's adjustable, 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 okay? So then I wanna go double check the gains. I think what I gotta do is I gotta set the high. Yeah, see? But it's not changing. So I wonder if I go back to capture gyro gains, if it'll show the adjustment. Nope. See how it's changing as I adjust my knob?
Yeah.
So I do need to figure out how to increase that. So what I think I have to do is go to gains. I'd probably be better off to just go to 2 times because that's gonna be about right. And then if you need to make adjustments to one versus the other, see, then you would be able to go in here and see what they are. Okay, so at the midpoint, ooh. Oh, it's the same amount of gain, it's just times 2. So, but 28 times 2 would be about, yeah, okay. So we'll try that. I think times 2 would be a good starting point. We also have proportionally increased the amount of pitch gain and the amount of roll gain. So when you make your adjustments to gains on AS3X, that's kind of the way you do it. It's a little bit, it's new for us still. We're still kind of working through it, but that's the easy way to do it. Now, if you had, we got to go back out to Expo 2. The Expo is more of a preference thing. do a rates and expo. I'll turn ailerons up. I'm gonna go to the middle setting. We're gonna make the middle 20. We're gonna make the top 40 and 90. Okay, and we're gonna make the bottom 10 because I know I'm never gonna need less than that. Okay, then we'll jog over to elevator. This is the one we really need to go up. I'm gonna go like 15 here. I'm gonna go like 25 here. And then I'm gonna go like 45 here, okay? And then the rudder was fine, so I'm not gonna mess with the rudder. Okay, so that was quite a bit of adjustment. Now, if we're splitting out our videos so that the flight videos are at the beginning, and then the unbox, build, and radio setup is a separate video, our plans are to release those right before we release the flight, so the flight is in the primary position, so you guys see that, you get notified for that at the latest period of time. And then what'll happen is you'll be able to watch the video, you can go back and check it out right away. With some exception, the times that we can't do that, what we found is that our videos are so huge that it takes forever to upload them. So what we're trying to do is we're gonna try to upload those so that they're in advance anyway. But when we're up against a time crunch, because we wanna produce good 4K video of flight especially, then what we'll do is we'll put the flight up, and then, you know, like a couple days later, the upload will be available for the unbox, build, radio setup. That doesn't mean we didn't get it done at the same time. It just means that, I mean, obviously we got it done chronologically, but the thing is you may not see it for a day or two because it just takes that long to upload. So it's a real struggle when you're in the country. Internet's not that fast. So anyway, we're gonna get back up in the air. We got a 5-minute timer set. I don't think we're gonna get a full 5 minutes out of this thing, but I think we're gonna get a lot better flight performance. So flight number 2 is gonna be the ticket. Let's see how this thing does. All right, here we go, camera crew, you ready?
Yep, are we going back up to the edge?
Yeah, okay. Let's do. Okay, so we're just gonna back taxi out. Feels like there's just a little bit of an indisparity on the tail dragger wheel compared to the rudder in the air. By the way, look how tight you can turn with this thing because it's so small. Yeah. That is awesome. Okay, all right. A little bit of up elevator. Look how much better that is. Almost full rudder there. Feels a lot less pitchy, way more solid on the AS3X. Look at this, guys. Oh yeah. Okay, I just wanna make sure my elevator's not pitchy anymore. Oh yeah, look how nice that is, folks. So just so you know, if you were to unbox this and set it up yourself and like, you wanted the quick fix, what I would suggest is do the higher expo mode on the elevator, but then I would suggest going straight to the 2 times on the gains. And I'm actually cranking it up just a hair, another 5–10%. I feel like the elevator is just maybe a little bit pitchy still, but it looks a lot better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Way more solid.
It's interesting because when we built it, you commented that there didn't seem like there was a lot of elevator throw.
You know, and that could be part of it, is maybe we need to go to an inside hole on the servo, and then we don't have to give up as much. Okay, now did you notice that? I noticed a little wing wobble, did you? Let's go full speed, level flight, hands off the sticks. I feel like that wobble is mostly just a slight overcorrection induced by wind. I don't want wobble at all, but if I'm gonna get wobble, it's gonna be induced by wind. I can live with that at totally full speed, you know? But did you guys see what I just did there? I cranked it right up in the air, and just to show you that we still have tons of elevator authority, but yet you can control it. I'm using the rudder to turn there, by the way. Okay, so let's put takeoff flaps on. A little bit of nose down. Okay, full landing flaps and a little bit more nose down, but I'm still having to ride the elevator, so I actually have too much. That's crazy. So I basically need to have a little bit less or no elevator correction because I'm riding it down. Maybe a 1 and 2. Let's try landing again. Okay, gear coming out. The gear are beautiful. Love the swivel to get up into the wings. Okay, full landing flaps coming in. This thing landed way faster than I wanted it to the first time. Sorry guys, I wasn't feeling it. This thing's a lot harder to fly than I thought it was gonna be. Is it bad to fly? No, it's just a lot harder than I expected. Look how fast I gotta keep going. Although the grasshops were pretty good.
Yeah.
That's surprising. Okay, so the reason I landed is I wanted to adjust my flap setting. Throttle cut is on. So I want to get this flap setting adjusted. And I think we're going to turn the correction down to nothing. Some of you guys had, oh, look, I told you that'd be the first thing that broke.
Yeah.
The antenna, or that might be a pitot tube. This plane has a lot of really cool scale details. Okay, so click, scroll down to flap system.
I'm gonna be able to see you.
That correction, we're gonna go to 5. We're gonna bring that down to like, let's do 1 and let's do 2, okay? Okay, so we got takeoff flaps deployed. Everything is in order. A little bit of wind coming down the runway here all of a sudden. I don't know if you guys can tell, but boy, I'm having to like jank out like full rudder. Like almost not enough rudder to get it done. I know what the problem is right now. And it's so subtle, but it's so close. We need a bigger battery. And I'm not talking about 4S, although 4S would solve some of the problems, even at a 2200. Look how nice that thing stall turns, that's awesome. I know what our problem is. We're just tail heavy, period. The CG is pretty much spot on this plane right now, according to the manual, but I think we're just flying a little bit tail heavy. That's gotta be what's going on. So the AS3X is doing its very best to prevent it from being a problem, but it still kind of just is. So what we're gonna do is full landing flaps coming in for the final. We're gonna get lined up with the wind, just a little bit of throttle to slow it down. And then there we go, hitting the grass again. Hey, on its legs. Okay, so we're gonna pause. We're gonna put in probably a 3200 3S. We'll come right back. Okay, so the camera crew was complaining that she couldn't see the flap setup. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click, scroll down to flap setup. We did a 1% and 2% correction.
Okay,
I didn't notice an issue. But there again, I think what may end up happening in this video, you guys might be seeing this flight second or possibly third, because we're gonna try 3200 3S, 30C. This is a Gen 2, so there's no balance lead. So we won't have a voltage alarm, but to be honest, we're at 3.62. So we haven't hit our alarm, and we're at, you know, about 7, no, we're about 7 plus 5 on the timer.
You
but it
did
was
a lot of
out.
adjustment, yeah.
That's true. So let's call it 8, 9
Yeah.
minutes of flight time is safe. So we should be able to get 10 minutes on this one. So I'm just, am I caught on something? You know, sometimes these battery trays are really nice, and then sometimes they are kind of a detriment, and I feel like I caught something in there. I want to make sure I don't break it. But yeah, I've got the battery all the way forward on the tray. There you go. See, it's all the way forward such that it popped out, okay? So I just don't feel like, it feels like it was flying a little bit tail heavy. And I don't want to give this plane bad marks because I feel like it's right on the cusp of being really good. Now, the other thing is I want to show you one other thing. This is what we were talking about out there. If you look right here, there's the elevator servo, okay? You're in the, there must be 3 holes. You could go to the inside hole, and that would make it a lot less pitchy, but you would actually lose throw. So I don't know if that's gonna be a problem for you guys or not, but I think what we're gonna do is we're just gonna try a 3200. We're gonna see if that takes care of it, and if the 3200 does better, then that's gonna answer our question that the CG is probably just a little bit off.
And there's no range on the CG.
No, it's just
60 millimeters.
That's, yeah, right,
There's no
and we mark
range.
that. And we do go over all that stuff in the Unbox Build radio setup. Of course, this thing gets high marks for looking beautiful, and it really is beautiful. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna center this right in the tray, as opposed to what I had done with the 2200, and then I wanna see how it CGs out, like how it tests on the dots. And this is kind of a long battery. We may not be able to use this battery in this configuration. And you see there's a lot of extra slack, so just be careful because these rails are where you end up getting bound up on your Velcro. Okay, and these are the mid-grade straps. They're not the garbagey ones, but they're real good for bite, but they're a little bit thin. You can rip them, but they're not the thinnest ones that they come out with.
And while you're loading that battery,
Plus, we probably should put some shelf liner at some point.
maybe so. When people are watching, if the videos are split like this, what adjustments Brian's making now is like his final adjustment. So if you go and then watch the unbox, build, and radio setup.
Yeah, just be aware.
Yeah, set your, if you're following along, set it to what we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
Is it gonna be too long?
I wonder if it's just, like, I feel like I'm hitting the Velcro. These rails, I've struggled with them before, and it looks like I'm struggling with it again because I did break off one of the tabs. There's 4 tabs, and I broke off one of the tabs already. And those tabs are the ones that click into everything. So I'm just making sure I'm actually hitting the sliders. It's kind of a steep angle, so it's like it's unusually steep, so it's hard to tell for sure if you're getting it. And I also think, the other thing is if you put a bigger battery in there, you wouldn't even need the tray at all. It's just then how do you secure it? Mm-hmm. In the past, what we've done is we've actually run foam just kind of around it and stuffed it in, like the soft squishy foam, not foam like EPO or EPS or whatever. Okay, so I'm definitely in the rails now. See what I'm talking about? Like I'm totally hitting something.
That's just a way longer pack.
But look how much it's moving up and down. That should not be allowed to move up and down like that. So that leads me to believe that I've only hit these 2 holes here. So yeah, if you guys are watching this and you're like, geez, that's a lot of trouble with that tray. We've had trouble with these trays on pretty much every plane that has had them. Because when you go to use a different size battery, it's always a challenge. And okay, so we did get it in there, but the problem is, like, as much as I want to say this tray is the lifesaver, it's really not. Like, it's giving us a lot of trouble. And the thing is, this battery is long, so you just basically wouldn't use the tray if you used a bigger battery. Okay, so we've done that before too in planes, and it's been fine. So what I'm going to do is, obviously, we won't have a voltage alarm, so we'll just know that we need to set our timer to like 8 minutes or something. I don't know. I know how to tell when a battery is about to die because I've seen it so many times. Okay, so we're gonna let this boot. I'm gonna clear my timer. Obviously we have this set for 5 minutes of flight time. I'm gonna click, scroll down to timer. How about this? I'm gonna start being nervous at 8 minutes. No, 9 minutes. It's not gonna run out. It's gonna go forever past that. So what I want to do now is, this is the one we used, okay? So there's nothing wrong with that. Brand new battery, really high quality, Gen 1, smooth sides, everything. Okay, so let's plop this back on here. The leads come out in a weird spot with this battery. You see that? This is so thick. Oh my goodness. See? I can't get that thing to slip in there. Do you see? Show them right here. See? The head of it is too thick.
Oh.
You know what? I'm torn because do I go ahead and just pull this tray out, the troublesome part, and then see how it fits? Let's try that. I mean, on a 2200 3S, it's fine. But on a bigger pack like this, let's see how it fits. You may be able to go vertical. See, if you go vertical, if it does fit, that'd be sweet because then you could stuff this back in there and then you're gonna block the battery in with this nose. That blocks it in. See, watch. It doesn't have anywhere to go. That little piece of plastic that just fell on the ground, look at that. That's the tab that I broke off. There's 2 of them, but that's been broken off since probably the first time I put this in. And by the way, I've done that on, I think, every one I have. So not real noteworthy, but there is a bit of a struggle for batteries on smaller planes. You have to work at a little bit more. So what I want to do now is let's check the CG. Throttle cut is on. I haven't tested it, but I know it's on and the stick's down and I don't have the radio on my person. That feels a lot better. Look at that. Even on the CG mark. Do you remember before how it was like hanging, but it was
a little bit, yeah.
And I said, we're probably okay. Maybe we weren't. I hate being wrong about stuff like that, but you know, after you do a few hundred planes, you start realizing that You can be wrong even when you think you're right. So let's try this on 3200 3S and see how it goes. And then we have some other plans. Stay tuned. So if you guys want to help support our channel, you can buy these planes from the links in the video description below. And obviously the batteries, we will put down the battery underneath the plane that we used in the video, specifically the one that we liked. If there's a couple that we liked, we usually link to a couple. But then also we'll link to the transmitter and the receiver we use, the AR630 on this one. And obviously, like we had mentioned earlier in the video, we're gonna have a separate unbox build radio setup on this particular plane. And we're gonna do that probably for a while and just see what kind of feedback we get from you all. So if you have concerns about that, let us know in the comments below. And we'll try our best to respond to you, both to fulfill your request and then also just physically respond and let you know what we think about your comments and concerns. But anyway, not sure if you're gonna see the 3200 first in the series of events, but for now, we just wanna make sure that we ask you that. If you don't wanna buy this plane, you don't like this plane, but you wanna still support our channel, we have Patreon and PayPal, and then definitely go and check out brianphillipsrc.com, which is a labor of love for the camera crew, so help support her and just go out there and check it out and see what's going on. Basically what it's gonna do is show you all the planes. We've got them organized by manufacturer right now or distributor, and then you can follow back to whatever videos. So it's a little easier than navigating the playlist shortcuts in YouTube. So also there's links to purchase stuff there too if you decide. So you can go and watch what's going on, then you can make your decisions, or you can be like, okay, this one's similar, let's go look at that one. I like this one too, let's look at that, and then kind of, you know, figure out from there what you want to do. Of course, YouTube is going to host all the videos still. So. And
when the page pops up, you can see each like kind of thumbnail for the video instead of trying to like read through the list, which sometimes is long.
And the images are small too.
Yeah.
So for us, we know what we did, so it's really easy for us to recall based on a thumbnail because we made the thumbnail. But for you guys, I know it's a little bit harder. And then especially for you guys that are newer to the hobby, just getting back in the hobby, obviously Brian Phillips RC is where we show long format videos to show the full setup. And we don't want you to think that we're cutting that out. We don't have any intention of cutting that out. We're just gonna be changing maybe the direction. We'll do the flight and then there'll be unbox build radio setup for those that wanna go see it. So, all right, without further ado, stay tuned. So much more coming from Brian Phillips RC. We appreciate you watching. And don't forget to subscribe and click the bell for notifications because we got new content coming out constantly.